Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to Southern Miss Sports Today with Coach Todd Monken, presented by Bancorp South. Golden Eagles are coming off an open date. No game last week for the Golden Eagles. The last time they were in action a couple of weeks ago on Halloween afternoon against the UTEP Miners. And Todd, we won't talk a lot about the UTEP ball game, but a big win for the Golden Eagles to finish up the month of October very strong. And talk about that game a little bit and what you saw in the UTEP game.
Well, I thought it was a team win. You know, we played well really in all three phases. We scored on special teams. Defensively, for the most part, we didn't give up any big plays. So they had to march it. Now, part of that, you know, didn't give the offense a lot of possessions. And then obviously getting a stop and then a big score before halftime was huge. But I thought it was probably one of our more complete team victories. We weren't perfect, but I thought in all three phases we played well.
Another game in which the defense held the opponent to less than 300 yards, and it's against a UTEP team that's been putting up some pretty good yardage.
Well, since they got their quarterback back, you know, he went out early in the year, and he makes them go. He's a good football player. They've got some good players around him, and I thought, like I said, I thought our defense played very well the whole game. Again, not giving up explosive plays, and I thought they did great.
You talk all the time about running the football, and I think that was part of the game plan. The weather was a little bit iffy on that Halloween afternoon. In fact, we had a delay, about an hour and a half delay, but all day long, you consistently ran the football very effectively.
Well, it was a little slow at the beginning, but I thought our guys got going. I thought our running backs ran extremely hard. We kind of got it going right before halftime, that Jalen Rashad run that got us going right before halftime. And then at the end of the game when we needed to be able to run it, we never gave them the ball back. We got the ball back with 4 or 5 minutes left and bled out the clock, and that was probably 60 yards added to the rushing total. That
was a big touchdown right before halftime, and then you came out of the hour and a half delay. They were able to score, but you answered them very quickly.
They did. You know, we got that touchdown right before the break that after I think they'd missed a field goal, John, and that put it at 13-3. Then we were able to get the ball again, score. We scored right before the delay. Now they came out, of course, it was 27, I think, 13 or 27, 20 something 10 or something like that, and we responded right back and got a score, which I thought was huge in terms of just putting it away.
At that delay, hour and a half delay there because of, again, I guess is lightning, and then there was a tornado warning and later severe thunderstorms. How did you sort of handle that, and was it an advantage to be here in your own locker room than on the road?
Definitely an advantage. You know, being here, all of our equipment, all of our strength staff here, I thought our guys handled it tremendously well. It's hard. You know, an hour and a half, you're up, I think at that point, we were up, I think 27-6, I think at that point. So trying to keep everybody focused. It's Halloween, you know, so I think our guys did a great job. Obviously we got the penalty, had to kick off from deep in our own territory, but I thought our guys handled it well, and it showed.
All right, going to change gears now. Well, one of our features today is on a former Golden Eagle, Anthony Stoney Parker, who was the defensive lineman for Southern Miss back in the late 1970s. Outstanding defensive player, part of that original Nasty Bunch. He's back in Hattiesburg now as the police chief here of the Hattiesburg Police Department. And talk about what it means to have guys like that who are successful. Here's a guy who played football, played around a little bit in the Canadian League, but now got into law enforcement and back here in Hattiesburg again.
Well, you're always, I mean, trying to show your players, you know, what you can be. You know, this is someone that represents our program in a first-class manner. Obviously has done it the right way, had a great career here, and, you know, decides to go into law enforcement and now is back here in Hattiesburg representing our town, our community, and our program.
And you and your family have been very involved. Of course, Hattiesburg had the tragedy back in May of the 2 police officers that lost their lives. You and your family, particularly your wife Terry and some other folks in the Hattiesburg community, have been very good at helping to raise money for scholarships here for, I guess, children of police officers.
They did. My wife Terry and Jessica Mahalam, they were touched by this, along with Paul Mahalam, who they went and raised close to $80,000, went to the families of the 2 fallen officers, and then a scholarship in their name here at Southern Miss for a son or daughter of a Hattiesburg or area police officer. So again, it touched the lives of many. Hopefully we'll be able to keep that going, and and it's been a good thing.
Well, we had a chance to sit down just the other day with Anthony Stoney Parker, the police chief here in Hattiesburg, to find out a little bit about what it was like for him to be a part of Golden Eagle football so many years ago. So let's spend a few minutes and meet up close and personal Stoney Parker.
Big plays then, like Richmond 3rd and 2. The quarterback is sacked by Stoney Parker, loss of 6.
The reason I came to Southern Miss, and I've told this story numerous times, it was 3 of us that came from Robert E. Lee High School that came to Southern Mississippi. We went to all our recruiting visits together. I went to Kansas, Memphis, and we finally went to the University of Cincinnati. We had a great time there, but when we came out the dorms one time going somewhere, I was walking and I slipped on some ice and I bust my butt. And I said, that's not for me. And then we came to Southern Miss where it's warm and beautiful weather, and met the coaches, and actually Buddy Nix, I never forget him. And I think I've told you this story before, with him running behind my dad on the tractor trying to get him to sign my letter of intent to come here, and that's a true story. But that showed me how much they wanted me here. And actually, when the thing that really sealed it for us, the 3 individuals that came with me, was when they sent a little plane over there. And first time we ever been on a little, it was just a little, I think about 5 or 6 seater, little jet, and flew us over here. We thought we were big time. But, people just, the players and everything just embraced us, so that's why I came here. Memories I have here at Southern Miss, it was a smaller group of people here then. You basically knew everybody on campus back then. You'd see them on the hub, and you'd sit up there. We sit up there a little bit too long sometimes, but that was part of the university experience here. And you make great friends by, a lot of us didn't have cars, so the ones with cars was just kind enough to help us and take us where we needed to go, and it was just a little family atmosphere here, to be honest with you. And I got friends right now that I tailgate with out here at Southern Miss every home game, and related to what I do now in law enforcement, that I still have from this day for Larry Harrington, General Jeff Hammond, great friends of mine. We still do anything for each other, but that's the bond you have when you are in this type of situation and spend your days and nights with individuals. You know, I'm from Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama. Where Mount Megg's right outside of Montgomery. And I'm about 30 miles from Auburn University. And to go back to Auburn that did not recruit me, and to win a game there, I think Joe Cribs was there, and all those good running backs they had there at that time, and to go to Auburn and beat them, that was one of the best games I ever played in, most satisfying game I ever had. What it means to me to have played here and wear the black and gold is pride. It's pride from where you see the university start from the 50s with the championship teams on up. We had our little bad spots, beating Ole Miss in the 70s, and the university just kept moving forward. And into the 90s with the great teams, and the 2000s with the great teams, and I was so proud of them being a former athlete of the university. I kind of reminisced through them, watching them play, and said maybe I had something to do with those teams to help them get to the point they are. So it means a great lot to me, and the opportunity that it has provided me in life.
This edition of Southern Miss Sports Today with Todd Monken is presented by Bancorp South, right where you are, and brought to you in part by the City of Hattiesburg, a proud sponsor of Southern Miss Athletics. UPS, from figuring it out to getting it done, UPS is here to help. Hattiesburg Coca-Cola. Want a taste of everything? Drink Coke Zero with real Coke taste and 0 calories. We'll be back with This Week in Southern Miss Football right after this.
People ship all kinds of things
But what if that thing is a few 100,000 doses of flu vaccine
that need to be kept at 41 degrees.
while being shipped to a country where it's 90 degrees? In the shade.
Sound hard? Yeah.
Does that mean people in Laos shouldn't get their vaccine?
We didn't think so.
From figuring it out to getting it done.
We're here to help.
Thank you so much for this prestigious award. I would like to thank my friends and family.
It's time for your homework.
Coming, Mama. As I'm saying, I would also like to thank my educators for all they've done with me. Without them, I couldn't do anything.
And the winner of the first place award for small cities is Hattiesburg, Mississippi for the Education Initiative.
What are you doing back there, Haley?
Feeling like a winner.
And we're back, Southern Miss Sports Today with Coach Todd Monken, presented by Bancorp South. Well, time now to meet one of our Golden Eagle seniors. It's hard to believe that the seniors, their careers are rapidly finishing up here at Southern Miss. Today we visit with Rashad Hill, one of the big offensive tackles for the Golden Eagles. And Todd, here's a guy who has been around a long time, but now he's really gotten to be one of the best, I guess, guys at his positions in Conference USA. Rashad's having a good senior year.
He really is, and he's been through it all. You know, came in 2011 and was here the 12-2 team, and then, you know, has gone through and seen it all, you know, to where we are today. He's worked awfully hard. He's a great kid, going to get his degree, and, you know, again, one of our team leaders, and really has developed into a very good football player.
Where have you seen him develop? Where has he gotten better in different areas?
I think he complains less in practice, to be real honest. I think he works harder at it. You know, I really do, and I think a lot of guys go through that. You know, not everybody loves the practice part of it. You know, everybody loves the games and loves the wins and singing the fight song, but you don't get to that without the work at practice. And I think he's done a great job of being better at practice every day and leading by example.
And you're lucky you've got two veterans there at the tackles, Rashad and Norm Price. And when you've got two good tackles like that, makes that running game, like we were talking about, go a little bit better.
No doubt. And then you throw in, you know, Andrew Peterson, and those guys rotate, and the other guys inside, we've been able to rotate. We've got good players up front, led by Rashad.
Rashad's having a great senior year for Golden Eagles, a guy, as Todd said, that's been around quite a number of years. So let's spend a few minutes and meet up close and personal Golden Eagle offensive lineman Rashad Hill.
Good. Rotate.
Well, you know, coming out of high school, I had a couple offers, you know, to bigger schools than this. But I had to be safe. Coach Duggan, you know what I'm saying? He just kept, you know what I'm saying, calling me, checking up on me, showing that father figure, you know, like my father figure. You know, I probably say it had to be him. Then when I got down here, you know, I ain't never been to Southern Miss. I came down here and I say it felt just like home, you know. I come from a small town, then moving to Jacksonville, then coming here. I mean, it felt like home, so that's why I really want to come here. The tradition, the winning tradition, then when you come here and you put on that black and gold, it just means something. The best advice I got probably was, you know, from Coach Meadows. You know, he always say, you know, if you want to put that time in, you got dreams to play the next level, you got to come in and do extra. You got to go on the field and perfect your craft, you know, and coming in and studying film and knowing your opponent, like what his move gonna be. If this one go out, this gonna be a secondary move. You just gotta know, you know, if you wanna make it to the next level, you wanna be the best player you can be, you just gotta put time in. I tell the young guys, you know, basically you just got to come in and get extra work with coach. You know, I was in that same predicament when I first got here. I didn't know what to do. I played right tackle when I first got here, then I transitioned to left tackle. But, you know, like I tell the young guys all the time, you got to either come in and you either want to get better or you want to be complacent. You want to play, you just want to coach your way all the way through college. You know, I tell them, you come in there and just put the work in. And if you need extra, I'll come in and help you myself. I try to be a vocal leader, you know. Someone not doing it right, I try to, you know, get on them, but at the same time, if you need help with something, I can work with you. This role been trying to be on me for the last two and a half years, you know, and I finally accepted the challenge to be a leader, you know. And I was a quiet guy at first, you know, didn't say that much, you know, try to lead by example. But I learned, you know what I'm saying, more vocal, people will, you know, start respecting you a lot more. I studied in school, my major is criminal justice. You know, I would like to be a DA agent, you know, work for the feds, do something like that. You know, I too big to get a police car. Too big to get a police car. So, you know, I want to do some federal work, you know, try to do stuff like that.
It wasn't easy, but Southern Miss earned the 500th win in school history on October 4th, 2004, needing overtime to defeat Houston 35-29 and winning its home debut in front of nearly 30,000 fans. Southern Miss took advantage of great field position late in the game as quarterback Dustin Ullman ran for 18 yards to make the score 29-27. Anthony Harris converted on a two-point conversion run to tie the game at 29 with 1:22 remaining. In the overtime session, Damian Carter entered the game as Ullman left the game following his 18-yard touchdown run. Carter tossed a 4-yard touchdown to tight end Otho Graves, giving the Golden Eagles a 35-29 lead. The Golden Eagle defense then forced the Cougars into a fourth down situation, but the pass fell incomplete. A 35-29 overtime win over the Houston Cougars on October 4th, 2004 at The Rock will always be remembered as one of the great moments in Southern Miss football.
Red 9. Red 9. Set. Go. Good, 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 good. And now just start me into my what? Start me into my walkout. All right, now, let's go 3-by-1, Walden.
You know, the first time thinking about getting into coaching, you know, my old man was a football coach growing up. So, I mean, that's all I've ever been around, you know. So the first thing that I remember just going to the locker rooms and the Friday nights, he was a high school coach, and the Saturday morning film sessions with those guys. And, you know, so I've always have been around it. And then, be honest with you, when I finished up my playing career at Delta State, Coach Rick Rose was the head coach at that time, asked me to be a graduate assistant going into that spring. I just got done that fall. I didn't redshirt, so my undergraduate, you know, wasn't finished yet. And I was like, Coach, to be honest with you, you know, I just want to get away from it for a little while. I want to, you know, figure out if this is something that I want to do, and because if I'm going to do it, I want to be all in. So I took that spring just to kind of be a college kid. I actually played, was on the golf team a little bit, and finished up my degree. And then that summer, there was just a part of me that I felt like was missing. You know, just being the team camaraderie part, and you know, I've always been a part of a team, and I've always had football, and just that spring, it wasn't everything I thought it was cracked up to be. It just, you know, not having that part of it kind of felt a little empty. So then that summer, I started, you know, being a graduate assistant with Coach Rhodes, and loved it that fall. Actually, Ron Roberts was the DC that I worked for, and then that's kind of how I got my first job that December at Tusculum, you know, through Coach Roberts, and ever since then I haven't looked back. Well, I think playing defensive back in general, you know, from a mindset standpoint, no doubt. I think you got to like the limelight a little bit. I think that's part of it. That's the nature of the position that you play. You know, like you said, you are the last line of defense, and you got to take pride in that. You know, I think that's something to be said about competitive athletes. You know, when the game's on the line, they want the ball. Not everybody has that, you know, but I think defensive back, you have to, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, when they take that shot, everybody in the stands knows who was that last guy was, and regardless of the coverage, whether that was his job or not, it's his fault. You know, to where a defensive lineman has the linebackers behind the second level. The second level has obviously the safeties behind them. So I think that's just the nature of that spot. But I also think that goes back to that competitive kid. I think a lot of our kids that are in that room enjoy that. You know, if it was to be basketball and there's 3 seconds left, they want the ball. You know, they want the shot. And I think that comes with the territory of that position. But yeah, they understand that. And we talk all the time. If you don't like it, go play offense. You know, you can go drop the ball, we can punt it, and we're fine. You know, so the big thing is you got to enjoy that part of it and prepare yourself to where, you know, when your play's called, you can make it. Well, I think the biggest thing for me to be able to wear the black and gold is growing up in Southeast Louisiana and coming from a high school that had a lot of guys come and play for the Golden Eagles is just the rich tradition and history, not only in the program, but especially on the side of the ball that I coach. Just growing up and hearing about the Nasty Bunch, and obviously my dad always being a defensive guy and played right there at Jones, and just the history of it and being able to be a part of that, and only in a time of being able to bring it back. You know, I think that was the big thing where a lot of people were asking me last year when I took this job, you know, you're going from a coordinator position to, you know, to a position coach. You know, you just won a conference championship. You know, they just won 1 game. Why? And a lot of it to me was, number 1 was the tradition of the program. Number 2 was the Nasty Bunch mentality of Southern Miss is known for that black helmet in the defense. And then the third part of it was Coach Monken and Coach Duggan. I think when you come over here and what they mean and how important it is to them and they're doing it the right way, I knew I was going to be here at the right time to bring Southern Miss back to the top where they belong. And being on the side of the ball where it's always been so important, it was an opportunity to me I felt like I couldn't pass up.
Southern Miss fans, show your pride with real Golden Eagles gear from the official online store, shop.southernmiss.com. You'll find everything a Golden Eagles fan needs, from jerseys to sideline gear, polos, t-shirts, hats, and more. With an awesome selection of Golden Eagles products, including official team merchandise from Russell, when it comes to Golden Eagles pride, there's only one place real Southern Miss fans go, shop.southernmiss.com.
And once again, back on Southern Miss Sports Today with Coach Todd Monken, presented by Bancorp South. Well, before we talk about what's coming up for the Golden Eagles, Todd, we just watched a feature on Pete Golding, who coaches the safeties for the Golden Eagles. And all you have to do is go to practice, and the guy who you hear the most, more vocal, a lot of energy, running around all the time is Pete Golding. What a good job he's done for you.
Tremendous coach, does a great job recruiting. And, you know, when we had a chance to interview him a little over a year and a half ago, you know, I'm glad we got to him. We interviewed a number of safety coaches, just didn't find the one we thought was the right fit. I think Pete was like the 8th guy we interviewed. And thank God we did, because he's been a tremendous addition.
He's a guy who, like everybody on your staff, is a guy that gets that relationship with those players, and sort of gets to be close to them. And whenever you do that and teach like he does, they got to get better.
No doubt. I think he's got a great way about him. You know, he can say things in a manner that is not offensive to the players, but he can be direct. You know, he's got a good personality to mix with a group in a room. And, you know, whether it's the safeties, the corners, those skill guys, a lot of times they're tough to manage a room of different personalities, and so he's done a great job of that.
All right, well, let's talk about what's coming up for the Golden Eagles. The Rice Owls on Saturday afternoon out at historic Rice Stadium. This is a team that struggled a little bit the last couple of weeks, but I'm sure when you turn the video on, you turn that computer on and watch them, they're pretty impressive. Well, they are, and you know, it was just 2 weeks ago they were playing Louisiana Tech for first place in our division, and you know, you lose that game, and
I can't say how the team responded, but it's tough. Then they had to go on the road against UTEP, who's improving. So it's a well-coached team. They've got good football players, got a returning quarterback. That's all you need to know is they got a senior quarterback. If a team has a senior quarterback, they're very capable.
When you look at them on the video defensively, what pops out the way they play?
Well, it's been a tough year for them because of injuries. They lost a couple of really good defensive linemen last year, and then they lost, I think it was one of the freshmen of the year in our conference, and he blew his knee out. So, and then they lost a corner that got drafted. So they lost some really good players. They do play hard. They are very sound in what they do. It's just that they're playing a lot of young guys, and when you do that, it's hard to be consistent.
They're a team, too, offensively, as you said, the veteran quarterback, a couple of good running backs. They would prefer to probably run that football effectively, kind of like the Golden Eagles do.
Sure, and they do a great job of looking to the sideline, getting in the right play. That also bleeds some of the clock. But you've got a veteran receiver in the Parks kid who's a good player. He's a senior. The quarterback's a senior. These two running backs have been the same running backs. So you're talking about offensively, veteran guys at the key positions, and they're going to be a real challenge.
David Bailiff, their coach, has done a tremendous job in the time he's been there. He's won championships, taken them to bowl games, and he's one of those guys that likes to play that tough, hard-nosed football, a lot like UTEP did a couple of weeks ago.
Yep, he's a defensive coach, and it was just 2 years ago they beat Marshall to win the league. So, he's done a great job, done it his way. They've recruited really good players, obviously really good students, and they're a smart team. They don't beat themselves very often.
And the key this week for the Golden Eagles is what against Rice?
Well, how do we come back from the bye week? I think that's the real key. I thought we had a really good week last week. It's great for our guys to get away, have a couple of days, and get a little refreshed. Okay, here we are. You want to be playing in November for something that matters. We control our destiny. How many teams can say that? They control their own destiny to win the conference championship. It's how we come out this week because we control that. We're good enough.
All right, well, thanks for the visit. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, John.
And see you Saturday at the historic Rice Stadium in Houston, Texas, the Golden Eagles and the Rice Owls. Don't forget, Monday nights we're at Mugshots Grill and Bar in Hattiesburg for the Golden Eagle Hotline. Come on out, visit with us, and talk a little Golden Eagle football. That'll do it. Have a great week, everybody. See you next time right here for another inside look into Southern Miss football.
This edition of Southern Miss Sports Today with Todd Monken has been presented by Bancorp South, right where you are, and brought to you in part by the City of Hattiesburg, a proud sponsor of Southern Miss Athletics. UPS, from figuring it out to getting it done, UPS is here to help. Hattiesburg Coca-Cola, want a taste of everything? Drink Coke Zero with real Coke taste and 0 calories. This has been a presentation of IMG, America's home for college sports.